In the late 18th century, when companies started to maximize the output of their factories, getting to run them 24/7 was key. For the sake of efficiency, people had to work more. In fact, 10 to 16-hour days were the norm. So, what happened? How did we go from an 80-hour work week to a 40-hour work week? So how did we go from an 80-hour work week to a 40-hour work week? Well, it took some time. It started off with this guy, Robert Owen, a British man who incidentally founded socialism. In 1817, he championed the mantra 8 hours labor, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours rest. Although this effort did not catch the momentum needed to go mainstream, there were several factory acts that moved the country in that direction. For instance, the Factories Act of 1847 stipulated that women and children were to be granted a 10-hour workday, thus only having to work 60 hours per week. But all that was in the UK. Over in the good old US of A, we had been lobbying for an 8-hour workday since 1791. And with the exception of some Philadelphia workers striking for a 10-hour workday, nothing much really happened. And then one day in 1884, the Federation of Organized Labor and Trade Unions just decided that May 1st, 1886 will be the day that we will have a mandated 8-hour workday. Now, this was not decided by a federal mandate. It was not decided by a negotiation between the workers and big business. No, the unions just said that May 1st, 1886, that's it, 8-hour workday. And if we don't get it, we're going to protest. And protest they did. On May 1st, 1886, 350,000 workers walked off their job and paraded down Main Street. It was the first ever May Day parade. And you know what happened as a result of that massive protest? Yeah, really. 350,000 people walked off the job and nothing changed, nothing official. What eventually did change matters was this guy, Henry Ford. It wasn't until 1905 that industries began implementing the 8-hour workday on their own accord. One of the first businesses to implement this was the Ford Motor Company in 1914, which not only cut the standard workday to 8 hours, but also doubled their workers' pay in the process. To the shock of many industries, this resulted in Ford's productivity off of these same workers, but with fewer hours, actually increasing significantly. And Ford's profit margins doubled within 2 years after implementing this change. This encouraged other companies to adopt a shorter 8-hour workday as a standard for their employees. Now, things became official with the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1937, which stipulated that workers were to max their hours at 44 hours per week, and anything over 40 would require overtime pay. So it took roughly 150 years to get to an 8-hour workday? Go figure. Even today, though, the debate continues, and companies are still experimenting in an attempt to get to that perfect work week. Let me share a few examples of what I mean. Over in New Zealand, home of my pal, Ian Scott. Ian, what's up? Over in New Zealand, there's a company called Perpetual Guardian that has established a 4-day work week within their company, and they've got a lot of attention because of it. Here's some information on them. Okay, so there's this. Academics studied the effects of the 4-day work week on Perpetual Guardian's workers and reported lower stress levels, higher levels of job satisfaction, and an improved sense of work-life balance. Critically, they also say workers were 20% more productive. If the 4-day work week sounds intriguing, what about a 3-day work week? Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim Helú has been lobbying for a 3-day work week for some time now. Listen to this quote by him. He says, This means that people do not retire at 50 or 60 years old, news agency Paraguay.com reported. People will have to work longer to 70 or 75 years old and only work 3 days a week. The catch is that sometimes employees may need and want to work much longer and harder on days when they do work, possibly as much as 11 hours a day, he says. If the 4-day work week sounds intriguing and the 3-day work week sounds even more interesting to you, how about this? A 4-hour work week. Yeah. Have you seen this book? All right. Some of you may have heard about this book because it was a #1 bestseller for some time. But for those who are unaware of Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week, let me give you a little bit of insight. All right. It says this. Tim Ferriss became famous for his 4-hour work week, which endorsed an exodus from the workaholic lifestyle prevalent in Western culture for automation, outsourcing, and time-saving processes like checking email twice a day, using online egg timers to minimize meeting time, and authorizing virtual assistants to complete certain tasks. So which work week is the most appealing to you? Is it the 5-day work week, the 4-day work week, the 3-day work week, or if you can manage this, the 4-hour work week? With the COVID pandemic coming to an end, I think the debate for the perfect work week will continue. Which format will we ultimately choose? Only time will tell. And I can't wait to find out. But as of now, I have to go to work.